If you know what you're doing, when someone gets up this morning and they figure out they want a car or a truck or they need one, they call you because you're the only salesperson they know. Now, I know John has preached to you about follow-up, right? I used to get preached to all the time. Follow them up, Steve. When I started, they weren't even measuring CSI. So once the customer was gone, they never ever heard from us again. That's for sure.
Yeah, that must have been nice.
No, it was horrible. And let me tell you why it was horrible. Again, I was too stupid. I was too stupid to realize it. Well, let me ask a question. Rufus, how long you been selling?
About 6 years.
6 years. Okay, Rufus, I buy a new Jeep from you today. Okay? How many times over the next 12 months will I hear from you?
Honestly?
Honestly, yeah. Well, no, lie to me.
Well, I could.
No. Tell me the truth.
No, I'd say probably once.
Okay. Child, how long you been doing this?
Only 3 months. But aren't you supposed to hear from them about 4 times something?
No, every month.
Every month? Yeah, birthdays.
Let's put it this way. If I hear from Rufus every single month, maybe it's a phone call, more likely it's going to be a voice message or an email, will I ever forget Rufus's name?
No.
No. Yet, John, you may know the answer to this. 100 people bought a car a year ago today in Dallas. What percentage of them remember their salesperson's name?
10%.
1 out of 10 know who they spent $25,000 or $50,000 with.
Damn.
That's sick. There's a guy, and I met him in Delaware, Ohio, suburb of Columbus. I was in a meeting, first time I'd ever been to the dealership. I was in their meeting room, and he was obnoxious. And you know what? I like obnoxious if you're selling a lot of cars. If you're selling 6 or 7 cars a month and you're obnoxious, I'm going to toast you. But so I looked up on the February board. This was early in March. I looked up at their February board. The number beside his name just didn't make sense to me. So I just left him alone because I didn't know if he was a good salesman or a bad salesman. I just knew he was obnoxious. And again, people think I'm obnoxious, so I got no problem with that. Later that day, after the seminar, I was with the dealer and the GM, and I said, "Hey, your man Tom here, he's a handful." They said, "Yes, he does. He's a handful, but he needs what you got. He needs to improve his grosses." I said, "How many cars does he sell?" They said, "Well, he did 57 a month last year." I said, "He did 57 cars last year?" They said, "No, he averaged 57 cars a month last year." I said, "Fleet guy? No. Internet guy? No. Most of them," he goes, "he only sells 12 to 15 new, the rest are used." They said he made $459,000. So I don't meet many people like that. So I left the dealer and the GM, and I went across the street to the used car building and knocked on his little window and said, "Hey, Tom, you got a few minutes for me?" He said, "Sure." And I sat down with him, and he told me what he does. And what he does is sheer, absolute genius, yet it's as simple as a thing as I've ever come across. He contacts his customers every single month. And the first thing I said was I said, "That's impossible." I said, "I just multiplied 57 times 12 times." He'd been doing this for 4 years, by the way. So it wasn't like he'd been in the business for 24 years. I said, "You can't talk to that many people." He said, I didn't say I talked to him. I contacted him. I said, "Oh, you sent a newsletter?" He said, "Would you read a newsletter from a salesman?" I said, "No." He goes, "Why the F would I send a newsletter then?" I said, Okay. He said, "I either make a phone call or I send him an email." And he goes, 80% of the time I get voicemail, so I leave a voice message. He said, "I say the same thing every single time." I said, "You ask him for a referral?" He looks at me, he goes, "Dumbasses like you teach that." And you know what? He'd earned the right to call me a dumbass, quite frankly. I didn't even have a problem with it, because I felt like a dumbass. I said, "Well, you don't believe in referrals?" He goes, "Yeah, I believe in referrals, but not the way you people teach it." He goes, He said, you probably teach your salespeople to, you know, at delivery, try to get some referrals. I said, well, yeah, that's the way I was taught. He goes, yeah, that's the way you were taught. He goes, that's the way your manager was taught. And then Henry Ford probably taught that son of a bitch. I mean, the guy's laying into me. But I'm interested because, I mean, he made $459,000 selling cars. I want to know how the hell he does it. He said, I said, you don't believe in referrals? He goes, Steve, I get 25 to 30 referrals every single month because you can't sell 57 cars a month standing outside waiting for someone to show up. He said, I offer referrals. I said, what do you mean? He goes, let me demonstrate what I do. He puts the phone on, or he opens up his database, picks out Mrs. McGregor. I'll never forget this name. Puts the phone on speaker and said, I'm going to call Mrs. McGregor now. Well, if she answers the phone, I'm going to say exactly the same thing I will if I get voice message. And my emails say exactly the same thing. So sure enough, it goes to voicemail. And this is what he says to his customers every single month. Ms. McGregor, if you guys want this, I'll send it to you.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, I've got a whole video on this. See, on my YouTube. I don't know if any of you have ever seen me on YouTube. Okay, but my YouTube channel is free, and I've got over 1,000 videos on how to sell a car, create gross, handle every objection known to mankind, every stall.
When I first got into the business, I thought I'd recognized you when I was in.
I was a lot younger and thinner then. Okay, that's why you didn't
About
recognize me.
6 years ago, I was watching your how to close videos every single day
Yeah.
driving the world.
Yeah, well, you guys will all get an email from me. If you just click on the YouTube icon below my name, you can subscribe. And again, it doesn't cost anything. But this was the message that he leaves. He said, Miss McGregor, this is Tom, and I'm not going to use his last name because I'll probably post this video, from the dealership. No need to call me back unless there's something I can do for you. I remember you're in the office products business, because he's looking at his CRM. And make no mistake, anytime someone's looking for office products, I'm always going to send them to you. This is Tom, your salesman from dealership name. Have a great day. Click. Took 15, 30 seconds. I said, how'd you know she's in the office products business? He said, Steve, I try to find out what everybody that buys a car from me does for a living, and if there's a way I can send them a referral at delivery, I tell them I'm going to send them referrals. But here's the big picture. This guy's not doing anything genius-like other than making sure that he's become a ton of people's favorite car salesperson. Mm-hmm. And ever since that happened, when I'm with my friends playing golf at a party, I'll just walk up to somebody and say, hey, John, who's your favorite car salesman? And very seldom, I mean, these are people who can buy cars. Very seldom does anybody have an answer. In fact, they look at me like I'm a dumbass.